Have you ever woke up, got out of bed, turned that TV on, and thought to yourself, something strange?
People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down. When you're strange, faces come out of the rain. When you're strange.
This is Brandon Curtis with Strange TV, addressing a great concern of mine to my audience, and that is propaganda in the major media corporation complex. Noam Chomsky, scholar, linguist, international professor, puts it a little more eloquently than myself.
Because the masses are notoriously short-sighted and generally cannot see danger until it's at their throats, our statesmen are forced to deceive them into an awareness of their own long-run interests. Deception of the people may in fact become increasingly necessary unless we're willing to give our leaders in Washington a freer hand.
The media's role in a society is to support the agenda of the privileged elite in order to ensure a society of manufactured consent. Those are words from my man Noam Chomsky here. He also says that a common view held amongst the masses is that they are part of a government that is by and for the people. Let's hear another view.
And this contrary view can be traced right back to the origins of modern democracy in the 17th century English Revolution. As in the case of most revolutions, maybe virtually all, that was a multidimensional affair with a civil war between the supporters of the king and the supporters of Parliament, but then a big popular movement was against all of them. And didn't want, and was trying to, and had a very populist, radical, democratic character to it, and was defeated. The Democrats were defeated within about 20 years by 1660. And you read their pamphlets, they were saying that we've lost. The only question now is whose slaves the poor shall be, king or Parliament.
In 1660, that first democratic populist society was defeated. Now imagine being part of that revolution and then having to ask yourself which side you wanted to be a slave for. Well, they're afraid of a democratic populist movement, very afraid of it. In fact, what do these elite really think of us? What do they really think? Let's see what Noam has to say.
For example, Reinhold Niebuhr, who's a much respected moralist and political thinker and very, very influential among modern political leaders, wrote that rationality belongs to the cool observers, but because of the stupidity of the average man, he follows not reason but faith, and the naive faith of the proletarian requires necessary illusion.
Necessary illusion, my friends. Necessary illusion. In order to stifle a democratic wave like that, the elite needed to create necessary illusion. And that is what brings us to today. The mainstream media. The propaganda machine. Now, this is a great documentary by Noam Chomsky. It's called Who Controls the U.S. Political and Economic System. I suggest you take a look at that for yourself if you want to catch any of the details based on the little clips that I've shown you. But basically what it comes down to at that time in 1989 when Noam was giving this talk, the main sources of news for people were the New York Times and the Washington Post. And then all the three channels after that funneled all their information from those two major media conglomerates. Now what's striking is that the New York Times and the Washington Post was owned by very, very, very rich people. So it poses the question, and that question is the press that consists of an editor and its staff a legitimate representation of that media? Or is it the owners of the equipment and the operation that is a representation of that media? And what do they want you to think? Now, if that giant of a mainstream media conglomerate was so effective back then, how effective do you think it is today? How effective are they in controlling the weak, dumb masses? Controlling what they think so that they don't rise up and take control of their own government. If propaganda was so effective back then, it must be quite effective today. And I'm going to let Noam take it away here about the effectiveness of propaganda. Take it away, Noam.
Matter, there are by now thousands of pages of documentation, detailed, close documentation on the propaganda model, and it's been tested in just about every conceivable way, subjected to the harshest tests we can think of. I think by now it's one of the best confirmed theses of the social sciences. If there's any serious challenge to it, I've never seen it.
And to sum all this beautiful factual awareness for all of you, I'm going to give you a little treat to demonstrate just how beautiful this propaganda machine exists in our little glowing boxes and phones and objects today. Greatest evidence of propaganda in the 2016 year and going. There you go.
Trump will not be president.
And so, right now, Mr. Trump, to answer your call for political honesty, I just want to say, you're not going to be president, all right? It's been fun. It's been great. I love you. But come on, buddy.
We have a major projection right now. Donald Trump will take Ohio. And CNN projects Donald Trump will carry the state of Florida. Huge win for Donald Trump. Donald Trump, we project, will win in Kentucky, in Indiana, with its 11 electoral votes. West Virginia, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Mississippi, South Carolina, Alabama, North Dakota, with its 3 electoral votes, and South Dakota, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, the state of Montana, North Carolina, Georgia, Iowa, Utah, Wisconsin, Arizona, Kansas with its 6 electoral votes, Nebraska with its 5 electoral votes, and Wyoming with its 3 electoral votes.
Sorry to keep you waiting, complicated business.
Holy shit!
You're awake, by the way. You're not having a terrible, terrible dream. Also, you're not dead and you haven't gone to hell. This is your life now. This is our election now. This is us. This is our country. It's real.
Oh, cracks me up every time. Oh, how many times did they tell you that that man was not going to win? He would never have the votes and that America hated him. Wow. If that's not propaganda enough, I don't know what is. So, anyway, regardless of your political preferences, damn, a lot of people got duped by that propagandism. They sure tried to fool everybody though, didn't they? Well, that concludes this little broadcast. I really hope you enjoy it, folks. Like, subscribe, share, if you would please. And I will be breaking more beautiful evidence of this propaganda machine to you at a later time. Until we meet again, folks, this is Brandon Curtis broadcasting for Strange TV on the Basin Boys Resistance Network. Have a beautiful day and life, folks.
Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down. When you're stressed.